Is your company export ready? It is vitally important that a company should only start to export once it has an established and solid UK market base. Make your mistakes in the home market first, since mistakes made overseas could be catastrophic or even terminal. Exporting will place additional pressure on manpower, production capacity, time and cash, and there needs to be sufficient of each of these resources within the business. At least one person in the company will need to have excellent planning and market research skills. Any proposed export activity must also be a good fit within the company's core business. If necessary, the company should have the ability to adapt its product or service to the market, and an enthusiastic, organised team committed to exports will need to be put in place. Exporting should not be regarded as a quick fix, and is certainly not always a solution to profit or sales problems. In fact, it is more likely to exacerbate any existing problems. It is also worth bearing in mind that compared to operating in the UK, the cost of exporting merchandise will be higher, and with freight, distribution and agents' costs, the margins can be considerably reduced. There is also the potential for exposure to currency and credit risks. The initial stages of starting an export program can require considerable energy and commitment, and will often result in management taking their eyes off the UK market. How to choose an export market? The most important aspect of choosing a suitable export market is to select a country that you feel comfortable working in. Influencing factors could include geography, the ease of travel, the language, the size of the population, and the standard of living. It is also helpful if the market research information required for a specific country can be relatively easily obtained, since you will need this information to ascertain the market potential for your products or services. It is also useful if you can find markets where the USPs for your products are the same as in the UK. You will also need to establish whether there are any special standards or regulations in the given country, whether you will need a license to operate, or be required to change your labelling and documentation. It is also important that you establish whether or not your product or service would need to be modified in order to meet the local market conditions. And you will need to gather sufficient competitor data and pricing information to allow you to develop a pricing model. The easiest markets to access are often those where this information is readily available from both primary and secondary sources of information. Useful sources of information could include trade press and directories, chambers of commerce and embassies, trade missions and shows, international trade support, Business Wales, UK Trade and Investment, UKTI. When searching for possible export markets, it is useful to speak to existing exporters who offer similar products or services to your own, or to try to establish what it is your competitors are doing. Undertaking market research. The ability to undertake detailed market research is the single most important skill required for effective exporting. Accurate market research can save the company from wasting tens of thousands of pounds. There are several elements to market research, which should each be considered in turn for each of the markets under consideration. These elements are the purpose of the research, economic considerations, the business environment, cultural differences, political considerations, any special product requirements, and pricing issues. The purpose of market research: identify a suitable country, establish the market size, identify suitable customers and establish their need, ascertain any local competition, identify potential agents, distributors, wholesalers, determine product strategy and selling prices, establish how you are going to inform customers, think about which trade shows you should attend, and the major trade magazines. Initially, it is important to clearly identify the purpose of the market research, which should primarily be to identify suitable markets for the company's products or services. This should be followed by identifying a clear need, establishing the size of the market for these products, identifying potential customers and ascertaining any local competition. The phase of market research should also include identifying potential agents, distributors, or wholesalers, as well as suggesting possible product marketing strategies and an indication of the potential selling prices in the market. Finally, this phase of the research should establish how to inform potential customers about your products, identify which are the major trade magazines in the country, and ascertain which local trade shows should be attended.